and there was much rejoicing.
Just over a year ago, I did a video focusing on the importance of Dying Light 2's success for the zombie subgenre. Zombie games are constantly being made, but it feels as if their heyday was stuck back in the 360 PS3 generation. Zombie burnout was something I feared would happen if the quality of zombie games didn't start to improve. Fast forward a year later, and lo and behold, Dying Light 2 was actually a pretty darn good game. Sure, it had its issues, and the narrative was rushed toward the end, but overall it was a solid experience. The gameplay was tight and a lot of fun. There was a lot of creative and fun exploration within an interesting and vertically impressive open world. By and large, the game was a pretty decent success. So that's at least one good zombie game in this current console generation. The big question is, what comes next? The original Dead Island was actually made by the creators of Dying Light, Techland. The first Dead Island game has long been my favorite zombie game for a variety of reasons, the most important of which, it was just plain fun. It knew what it was and didn't really take itself too seriously. Fast forward to 2023, over a decade since it started development under the first of 3 studios following Techland's departure, we're finally getting the long-awaited sequel. Developed by Dambuster Studios, the newest game is set in Los Angeles and will feature 6 playable characters. Despite changing hands and directions so many times, Dead Island 2 is not pivoting away from the over-the-top arcade-style gameplay of its predecessor. Instead, it is doubling down with it in spades. In order to achieve this, the story is focusing on a balance between seriousness when it needs it and plenty of pulpy splendor to fill in the gaps. The main contribution Dambuster has brought to the franchise is in the introduction of a new gore simulator called the Flesh system. This procedurally generated component is meant to create elaborate, gruesome mutilation which can best any other zombie game on the market. Well, that's the idea anyway. See, the whole point of Dead Island 2 is to deliver the best feeling and most enjoyable zombie killing game on shelves today. At least that's what the developers are shooting for. Zombie games take on many forms, not all of them are equal in comparison. It's safe to say that Dead Island 2 isn't trying to become the next Last of Us with its story, nor is it trying to tackle the title for Best Open World. After all, Dead Island 2 doesn't even utilize a full open world map. Instead, it relies on free roam hubs set in specific areas of LA, to appease players' appetite for exploration, so to speak. What Dead Island 2 is trying to do at all costs is to allow the player to have fun. Surprise, surprise, it's 2023 and we're talking about a AAA game which actually puts its focus on gameplay first. The reason a number of games have increasingly disappointed over the years is in large part due to an overemphasis on graphics, story, and monetization. While I'm the first person in a room to start raving about how much I love the story of a game, a video game has to be about the gameplay at its core, because playing a game is what allows us to have the fun experiences movies and shows simply can't provide. I think a lot of people might consider themselves skeptical if you ask them about their expectations or belief in Dead Island 2. The first one and its spin-off companion Riptide are seen as cult classic experiences to some extent. But will the same core gameplay from 10 years ago still feel as fun and relevant today as it did before? That's the million-dollar question, as they say. Looking at the footage from the game demonstrations and gameplay reveals, we see a Dead Island gameplay experience that is very similar to the original, minus some odds and ends, which will add minor tweaks where necessary. Personally, I actually like that the combat and overall gameplay experience looks very similar, because I'm of the opinion, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. However, others might not feel the same. People might be expecting something different or more nuanced than simply beating, bashing, shooting, and slicing zombies. In my opinion, if someone is looking for something other than that, I would most likely conclude they don't actually want to play a Dead Island game at all. I love Dead Island for what it is, for everything it was back in the day. It was mindless zombie fun and it was a blast to play with friends. I have so many memories of running around and just engaging in all sorts of silly shenanigans around the resort area of the original Dead Island. So to me, it kind of matters that they're trying to keep it true to the original. The importance of having more games in the zombie subgenre, just trying to have fun and do their own thing, is what made it successful to begin with. Everybody had their own little corner where they could grow their ideas and try to come up with increasingly more creative concepts. Then, out of nowhere, it was like more and more what we started seeing was companies simply copying and pasting loose ideas or concepts which were popular and attempting to cash in on it. Whether this was a specific creative push or publisher-oriented one, I'm not exactly sure. Soon, the zombie market became ever so saturated. As with Dying Light 2, Dead Island 2 needs to deliver. More and more, there are diverse types of games and trends competing for market attention. This game will be a good testing point to see if a classic-style gameplay title still has a place in the world of modern gaming. Will the undead subgenre continue to rise from its grave, or will the plethora of trend-setting competition in the market aim for the head and put it out for good? We're mere days away from finding out. So, why don't you all let me know what you think in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, clicking the like button, and hitting that little bell for notifications, so you don't miss out on any new videos as soon as they drop. Thanks again, and have yourself a great day.